Hi, my name is Marnie Winters. Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. The purpose of this channel is to give college and career information to video viewers. Today's topic is how to pick a college. And this topic will be really important because picking a college is a really big deal. You want to make sure that you get the college that's the best fit for you, because by doing so, it will help ensure that you remain in college until you graduate, that you get good grades, that you're successful as a college student, and that you're happy. So it will be very important to get the best college that you can that's going to match what you want, and that really is just a good fit for you. Now, before you get started, what I want to have you do is get a notebook, because you'll want to conduct college research. This will be important if you're considering more than one college. It's important even if you're only considering one college, but the more colleges that you consider, the more helpful this notebook will be for you. You'll want to write down everything in regards to your college research as you are conducting that research, so that way, after you've looked at a particular college, if you want to go back to that information later on to review it, you've got everything written down in one spot. So that way you don't have to go back and look information up over and over and over again. If you decide later on down the road, hey, I really like that college, but I can't remember how much the tuition cost, I can't remember what majors they offer, I can't remember the classes that I looked at, you're going to have to go back and look all of that up over again. Having it all written down in one spot is going to be a time saver down the road as you're deciding which colleges it is that you want to apply to. The first thing that you'll want to look at as you're researching colleges is accreditation. And the accreditation is important because the organization is an official body that goes into each college and reviews everything about the college to make sure that the college is on the up and up and that they are offering a solid product and giving you a legitimate degree. There are colleges out there, unfortunately, that are scam colleges. They're called diploma mills, and all they do is take your money. They don't really make you do anything for the classes, and then at the end, after they've taken thousands of your dollars, they give you a degree that is not worth the paper it's written on. So it's a scam. The diplomas are not recognized by other colleges. They're not recognized by employers. If you got a bachelor's degree, for instance, from one of these diploma mills, it's not really a bachelor's degree. If you decide that you wanted to go on to graduate school or on to get a doctorate degree, and you told them that you have a bachelor's degree from one of these diploma mills, it is not recognized. You will not be accepted under any circumstances to any graduate program or any doctorate program, because this degree is not a real degree. It is completely fake. It's not recognized any place. So it's going to be very important that you make sure that your college is either regionally accredited or nationally accredited. All legitimate colleges will be one or the other. They will be one or the other. There is no way a legitimate college will not have one of those two accreditations. They all will have it. It is that important. The regional accreditation is the strictest accreditation that's there. They have the toughest standards. National accreditation is, their requirements are a lot less strict than regional accreditation. So if you're deciding between two colleges and one is regional accredited and the other one is nationally accredited, go with the one that's regionally accredited because it's the better accreditation. It's the one that will open more doors for you. Typically, the schools that are regionally accredited are four-year public and private institutions, as well as community colleges. Nationally accredited schools are typically career colleges. And like I said, just the primary difference is that the standards are a lot stricter for the regional accreditation. So you're going to want to make sure that the schools that you apply to has one or the other. I have a blog that has a listing of all of the bodies for regional accreditation and national accreditation, as you're going through researching schools, what I request of you is that you go get that list, because you're going to want to know who the regional and the national accrediting bodies are, because you need to know specifically what names to look for or to ask for if you call the schools to find out who they're accredited by. Some schools out there, some schools are tricky. The diploma schools, they will lie to you. And if you ask them if they are regionally or nationally accredited, they may tell you yes, even if they're not. So what you need to do is specifically ask them, who is your accrediting body? And make them specifically tell you the name. On my blog, I have a complete list of every regional and nationally accrediting body. So you'll want to make sure that the name they give you matches up to the name on the list, because then that way, if they give you a name that's on the list, you'll know if it's regionally or nationally accredited, and you'll also know if they're telling the truth. Like I said, it is very, very important you avoid those scam schools. So here's the address of my blog. I want to make sure I give this to you so you can go get that list. The address for the blog is findingmypathcoaching.blogspot.com. Again, that name is findingmypathcoaching.blogspot.com. And the date that I published that list is July 19th, 2016. So it's been up there for almost a year. It's in the archives at this point. When you pull the blog up, over on the right-hand side, there is an archive menu. Just go through that menu until you find July 19th, 2016. That's where that list will be. Make sure that you print that off so that way you've got that listing. And you've got all the accrediting bodies right next to you, so that way you can make sure that whoever they tell you is their accrediting agency is regionally or nationally accredited. Now, the other type of accreditation that you'll want to look at is a specialized accreditation. And the specialized accreditation will be in addition to either a regionally or a national accreditation. So a college as a whole will be either regionally or nationally accredited, not both, just one or the other, either regional or national, plus there'll be specialized accreditations that these colleges hold, and the specialized accreditations will accredit specific majors only. So the specialized accreditations are not looking at accrediting the whole school. It's just specifically looking at one major and saying we approve. And with that, the specialized accreditations will go through and look at the credentials held by the faculty teaching the classes, course goals, objectives, tests in the class, the books used, course content, the whole 9 yards. So it's specifically looking at the classes, and it's looking at the program as a whole to make sure that the program is teaching the kinds of classes that it should be teaching to be considered an appropriate major for that area. Now, with the specialized accreditations, those will be very important, especially if you're completing a major that's going to lead to a license, such as nursing or to be a veterinarian or a medical doctor or a lawyer. There's specialized accreditations for all of those areas. And a lot of times, in order to get a license, it's something that a state requires. The state will require you to be licensed. In order to sit for that test, they may require that you graduate from a program from a school that is either regionally or nationally accredited, as well as a major that has a specialized accreditation. So, for instance, if you decide that you want to be a lawyer has to be licensed in every state. And in order to sit for that state exam in every state, they will require that you have completed a law degree from a school where the major has a specialized accreditation that has been approved by the American Bar Association, as well as a college that's regionally accredited. Some states may accept a national accreditation, but overall the majority of them will require regionally accreditation. So they want to make sure that the appropriate accreditations are there for the schools in order for you to be able to sit for that test. They want to make sure that you've got the quality education. So accreditation is going to be very important. Make sure that you know, and I've listed all the specialized accreditations on the list that's on my blog too. So it's a complete list. You will have everything. The next thing that you want to do is check out the majors that each college offers. To do that, it's recommended that you know what career you want before you start, because you want to make sure that you end up at a college that has the major that you need to be able to go into that career. So for instance, if you decided that you wanted to go and be a nurse in a hospital, for instance, you need to make sure that you select a college that has a nursing program. It's going to be required that any state that you decide to go work in, you're going to have a nursing major in order to be able to sit for the state boards to get your license, and you have to be licensed in every state in order to work as a nurse. So if you ended up at a college that does not have a nursing program in it, and then after you get started at college you decide, oh hey, I want to be a nurse, you're going to have to switch schools to go to a college to get a nursing major so that you can end up getting licensed and be able to go work. Because you're not going to be able to go work as a nurse with any other degree, you won't be able to sit for the state boards after you get done. So that's why if trying to pick a career is going to make things a lot easier on you, because it's going to help you make sure you wind up at the right school right out of the gate, and that you don't end up having to switch after you get started. You'll have ended up losing some time. It's going to take you longer to graduate with a degree if you do it that way. So do everything in your power to decide what career it is that you want beforehand, so you can determine what major it is that you need in order to be able to select the right major right out of the gate. You'll also want to decide if you want to go to school in-state or out of state. Some people decide that they've had enough of the state where they're living. They want a new experience. They want new weather. Maybe they're looking to make new friendships, or they just decide they want to have some space between them and their families. So they may decide they want to go out of state, or they may decide they want to stay in state but go to a different city, or may decide to stay locally and go to school in their hometown so that they don't have to leave what they know and what they've grown up with and leave their family or their friends. So you'll need to decide where you want to go to school, because location is a very big factor. You need to know what area it is that you should be looking at for schools. You'll also want to look at the cost for each school. Cost is a very big deal. You want to make sure to look at the cost to make sure that you can afford it. Every school will have a website, or should I say at least most schools will have a website. And the cost is something that's traditionally put onto every website for every school. There's a page out there that has the tuition and fees listed on it. So you'll want to look at the school. You'll want to look at how much the tuition costs. And that is going to vary wildly from school to school. When you're looking at the cost, you can figure that probably the books for each class is going to cost you maybe around $125 per class. If you decide to go full-time each semester, that will probably be anywhere from 3 to 5 classes. So each semester you may be looking at anywhere from $300 to $500 in just books alone. You'll have a school supply cost on top of that. Your first semester, your school supplies may be a little bit more, because you'll be buying things like a backpack, you'll be buying a computer, a printer, stuff that's going to last you that you're not going to need to purchase over and over again. After that, your school supplies, unless you're an art major where you have to keep repetitively buying expensive art products every semester, or maybe like a computer science major where you've got a huge investment in software. If you're strictly just basing it on pens, pencils, notebooks, folders, probably around maybe $75 each semester, just in that. It does add up in the end. Try and buy generic as much as you can to help keep the cost lower. But those are the primary costs that you get into. Any other fees, parking, will be listed on the website at the where the tuition price is listed. And also you'll need to decide if you want to live in a dorm or if you're going to have other living arrangements while you're in school. Because if you're living in a dorm, you're also going to need to factor in the cost of the dorm room plus a meal plan. Always purchase the meal plan when you go to college. You're going to have to eat. They have a cafeteria. If you have the meal plan, it'll be cheaper than having to pay for food out of pocket every single time it is that you want to eat, because you pay for the meal plan up front, and then the process on how you take care of that when you get food from the cafeteria will just vary from school to school. They may just have you swipe your ID each time you go into the cafeteria, but you'll be able to find that out when you get to school. But at least this way it eliminates you having to come up with cash out of pocket every time you want to eat. So that actually, the dorm rooms is another thing I wanted to talk about, because if you decide you want to live in a dorm, you're going to need to look at schools that have a dorm room, because not every school will. So you want to make sure that you select a school that does have dorm rooms so that you have a place to live if you want to live on campus. You'll need to decide if you want your college to have a religious affiliation or not. That is really important to some people who are very much into their religion, into their faith. They want that religious experience from college. There are other people out there, though, who may be atheist or agnostic or just a non-practicing member of a religion that don't want to have any kind of a religious affiliation. They just want to go to a college that does not have that religious component with it. So you need to decide which one that you want to go to. If you do want that religious experience with college, make sure that you select that college appropriately. If you do not want a religious experience like that when you go to college, then just choose a very religious neutral, a non-religious type college. Choosing one way or the other will help make you happy, consistent with what your beliefs are. You'll need to see what activities are available at each school. If being active in activities is important, then when you're checking colleges out, see what activities are available. Make a list of those. Make a list of the activities, I should say, that you think that you might want to participate when you get into college. You don't need to write down the ones that you're not interested in, but if there's things there that you are interested in, make notes of that when you're taking notes on each college. So that way, when you're going back and reviewing your notes, you can say, oh, well, they've got these sports, they've got these student activities, they have these events that go on. These are things I'm interested in. That's going to help make your decision easier as you're going back through and deciding which college to apply to. You'll want to check with the colleges to see if they're competitive or if they're open admissions. And competitive college they don't admit every single student. They only admit some of the students that apply. It'll be based on their past background, grade point, volunteer places that they've worked at in the past, jobs they've had, leadership opportunities they've had, things they've done in the past that lets the college officials know that they will be a really good student while they're there. An open admissions college is one that accepts every single student who applies as long as a few basic conditions are met. Generally, those basic conditions are you have either graduated from high school or you have a GED, a general equivalency diploma, one of the two. As long as you've met those conditions, pretty much you can get in. So when you're going through, now the competitive colleges have different levels of competitiveness. Some are very competitive and select very few students. Others are competitive but not that competitive. They select a good amount of students that apply to those. When you're applying to schools, I recommend mixing that up. If you're going to apply to more than one school, I recommend mixing it up. If there's competitive colleges that you know that you want to apply to, that's fine. Apply to every school that you want to, but I would say stack your hand a little bit and apply to some colleges that are a little less competitive, and even at least one open admissions college. And the reason that I say this is because This way, when you've got the applications out there, if you apply to a highly competitive college and even a moderately competitive college, if they both say no, you've got an application out to an open admissions college, so at least you know that they will say yes. So this way you know that of everybody I've turned an application into, I've got someone who is going to tell me yes. It kind of makes it a little bit worse if you apply to only one college or two colleges that are both pretty competitive and they say no. It's definitely easier to take if you know you've got at least one place that will tell you yes and that you know you've got somewhere to go. When you're applying to colleges, there's no maximum amount to apply to. You can apply to as many as you want to. I would say don't apply to more than 5. Make 5 your max, only because a lot of colleges out there have admission application fees. It'll get expensive if each one of them is charging you a fee. So a good amount that I think most normal students apply to, the average is between about 3 to 5 colleges. So I would say don't go much beyond 5. Just because I don't want you spending all of your money on application fees. That can get really expensive in the end. So I would say narrow it down to about 3 to 5. That would be a good amount for you to apply to. You'll want to check into the size. And by this I mean check into the campus size as well as the class size. When you're looking at the campus size, you'll want to check out the total student enrollment. As well as the physical size of the campus. How many acres is it over? How many buildings does it have? What's the number of students that it has? Also check out the class size. How many students are in a class? That will vary too. Some colleges that you get into, the average class size may be about 25 students, whereas other colleges that you get into, some of those classes may be 300 students. It's just going to depend on class to class. At the colleges, it'll vary from college to college. So make sure that you get in a college where the numbers are numbers that you can live with. Avoid a huge campus if you're going to be intimidated by the size. If too many students or too many buildings or too many acres will feel overwhelming, definitely go with the smaller school. If you're a student who feels that you would function better in a classroom size that was about the size of the classes you were in high school, then check out the ratio and maybe go with a college that has classes that have maybe 20 to 25 students per class in them. These things will lead to success because you'll be happy with the amount of people that you encounter. You'll be happy with your class sizes. You'll be able to be someplace where you can deal with the environment that's around you without feeling overwhelmed by it. So these are the recommendations of the things that you need to look for while you are researching your colleges. Take your time to research the colleges and take your time to make the decision on which colleges to apply to, so that way you know that you're applying to the ones that you want, to the ones that you feel will be the best fit for you. I hope this information has helped. Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. Thank you very much.